Good morning, America! You're here with Emily Morris reporting live from Charleston, South Carolina on April 12, 1861. This morning, precisely at 4:30 a.m., as an unarmed expedition with supplies was being taken to Fort Sumter, the Confederates fired 50 cannons toward Fort Sumter on Jefferson Davis's command. This frightening battle is still going on. It's as though the country is breaking into two major sides: the Confederacy and the Union. I'm here with Jefferson Davis himself, who is the president of the Confederacy. Mr. Davis, what inspired you to make this bold decision?
Well, it's quite simple, Miss Morris. I believe these Union boys have overstayed their welcome. I could not idly stand by and let my glorious Charleston be overrun by the Northern way of life.
Are you worried about starting a fatal and deathly war?
If anything, President Lincoln started this by stationing his troops in our harbors.
Do you think that the Union will be too great an opponent to take on?
No, we Southerners have the will to prevail. All we have to do is convince the North that we need to secede. And if it should come to war, we have the distinct advantage of fighting in our own territory.
All right, thank you for your time. I'll let you get back to your battle. Yesterday, July 21st, 1861, the very first battle of the Civil War occurred at a small river called Bull Run. About 30,000 untrained Northern troops, who were led by General Irvin McDowell, attacked a smaller army of the South. These armies were both very inexperienced. This battle began with the North winning, but Thomas Jackson rallied up the rebels and forced the Union to retreat. People now call this brave Confederate leader Stonewall Jackson because his troops acted like a stone wall. Irvin McDowell has been fired by President Lincoln because he was such a bad leader, and he has been replaced with George B. McClellan. Let's see how this goes. People are now starting to realize that this is going to be a long and costly war. Greetings, people of the 1860s. Life in the war is rough. Not the best place you want to be for comfort and safety. Soldiers suffer from lack of food, weather, discomfort, sickness, fear, and horror. Can this country withstand any more of this fighting? I'm here with one of the soldiers named Billy Yank. He'll talk about his interesting times in the war camp. Billy, tell me about your time in the camp.
A part of the Company K and some of the enemy came together and stacked arms and talked for a long time. Our men cooked coffee and treated them, and afterward each one took up his position and they began to fire at each other again, but not as hard as before.
That's very fascinating. How do you cope with the everyday fear of fighting?
Well, without the great protection and comfort of our Lord, we'd be nothing.
That's great, Billy. I'm so sorry for all the pain and sorrow you have to go through every day. That's all for today, folks. See you next time. Good morning, America. You're here with me in a simple town called Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The Battle of Gettysburg started July 1st and continued on till July 3rd. The tide of war has turned over to the Union after this extremely important battle. You see, it all started when the two sides needed some shoes. They both went to Gettysburg with General Lee, hoping not to fight in an unfamiliar area. But he was wrong. The Union was also there getting supplies. First, the Union retreated to higher ground at a place called Cemetery Ridge. Southern generals tried hard to force the Union to retreat, but the Union held their ground. Next, Lee made the decision to create a panic and virtually destroy the Union. Lee fired 140 cannons and fought hard. Pickett ordered 12,000 men to charge straight into the Union and try to break through the other side of the army. This bold decision was called Pickett's Charge. 3,000 men and all 15 generals were killed in Pickett's charge, therefore making it hard for the Confederates to go on any longer. Altogether, the Battle of Gettysburg had 25,000 casualties. Abraham Lincoln then dedicated the Gettysburg Address to all of the soldiers who died. This war is no longer just about keeping the Union together. It's about African Americans being released from slavery. Today, April 9th, 1865, The Confederates surrendered! Okay, finally, after this long, bloody, and treacherous war, General Robert E. Lee has given up. The official surrender was at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, where I am right now. And the question is, why did Lee give up? Okay, well, after Sherman's march to the sea, every useful thing that the South could use to defeat the North was burned up. And after that, Union soldiers captured a train car transferring food to Lee's troops. They were completely surrendered. Grant offered his terms and conditions, which meant that the soldiers would keep their firearms, commanders would ride their horses, but they could not disturb any of the soldiers as they walked home. 25,000 rations were then handed out to Lee's troops. Now, let's talk about the toll of this war. We're talking 600,000 soldiers dying. The war also cost billions of dollars with all the guns, supplies, food, etc. Many cities and farms were destroyed. This damage is going to take many years to rebuild and a nation's effort. So now what? How will we get the South back on board with the Union? How will African Americans be treated in this new society? These are the questions that our new nation faces.